In the ACE exam, there might be a couple of tricky questions about the metadata panel. So it's very important to have a look at it and make sure you spend some time and really look into it and all the options you can find there. So first of all, what you need to memorize is all the categories that you have in the metadata. So you have to remember all of these options here. Of course, you don't have to remember all the subcategories, but you just have to remember these main categories. And then remember, this top part here is called the metadata placards. So if I select another image, we can see it looks exactly the same like on the camera. So it shows the aperture, the shutter speed, the ISO, and so on and so forth. And that is something you can find in the panel menu. So there's show metadata placards. You can turn it off here or turn it back on. There's another option here which is quite useful. You can increase the font size of all the details. So if you have a big screen, you can always increase or decrease these. That's the smallest, and then we can also increase it, make it even bigger than that. So that's another important option that might come up in the exam. And then you should also know that whenever you have multiple files selected, it will only show the common metadata from the selected files. So they are both JPEG, that's why we can see the document type is JPEG or resolution is 300 ppi, but like the file size, dimensions, they are multiple values, so we won't be able to see it here. Remember, thumbnails can also show some metadata. If we go into the preferences and under thumbnails, we will be able to add that metadata. So here we can choose what to show, like date created, but there's a lot of options here which we can add, like even keywords if we want to. Just remember that under the preferences, thumbnails and details, you have these additional options that you can assign to the thumbnails. Also remember, under the view menu, we can choose as details, and then we will see more metadata next to the thumbnails, or we can also choose as list, and then we will see the metadata in columns. And I'm just going to change back to as thumbnails. And it's good to know that another keyboard shortcut is F5 to quickly refresh your folder, the contents of your folder. So if there's any change on the files, it will refresh them. And it applies also to metadata. So even if something in the metadata has been changed, maybe outside of Bridge, using F5, you will make sure that it's the latest and it will refresh to that state. And then one more thing that might come up in the exam, and that's the video metadata. It's actually, again, something you have to memorize. Make sure you remember all of these options under the video category.